Hi my beauties, welcome back to my channel. My name is Shweta, and for the ones that's just discovering me right now, you're in for a very exciting video. Today we are going to be talking about ghost stories, okay? And I can't think of a better occasion to start off with, it being Halloween. I thought I should do another Halloween ghost story kind of a video which I did last Halloween, which was so well received because so many of you, more than 100 of you, shared your stories with me, and I cannot thank you for that because it's not a very comfortable topic to thread on. Not many believe in supernatural, and least an entity from beyond that comes and visits you or your experiences, because there's so many people who take a scientific approach towards it. But today I'm bringing two of my close friends. One is Pooja and the other one is my best friend Chandni, and I wanted them to talk about their incidents. Pooja and I worked together when I was in Bombay, and when I heard her story then, I remembered it last week and I was thinking, my God, it really was so unsettling that I wanted her to share that story with all of you. And with Chandni, the reason Chandni and I clicked, because there were so many things that has happened in Chandni's life that now when things happen, she just dismisses it. She kind of shuts down and she's like, okay, it happens, let's move on, you know. Whereas if it was me, I think I would have had a heart attack, all right? And I would be one of those ghosts doing paranormal activities on various other people's houses. But the incident that I'm about to share with you before Chandni and Pooja shares, this happened around 9 years ago, and it was at my friend's house. Her name is Anaida. So anyone who's an 80s, 90s kid who grew up listening to Indian pop music would know who Anaida is. She's the Uchi Nichi Ua Ua girl, and she was a close friend of mine. And I remember after we went out, we partied, I decided to stay over at Anaida's place because it was too late for me to drive. Her house in Bandra, anyone who's a Mumbai child, a Bombay child, would understand what Bandra houses were all about. There are some good posh buildings, and then there are these old buildings with huge lovely flats. But in these old buildings, you don't even have a lift to take you to the 3rd or 4th floor, so it's quite a climb. So it's one of those really old buildings, and Anaida stayed in one of those. And I remember that there was an energy in Anaida's house which anybody who was intuitive or spiritually inclined would feel that energy, and which she was very much aware of. And Anaida is a very intuitive person. She's a psychic. In her bedroom, she had a single cot, but in the living area where the terrace and everything is connected, there was the sofa cum bed. So we decided to watch a little bit of TV, sleep right there. And it was Saturday night. We decided Sunday morning we'll have breakfast at her place, go out shopping the next day, just have a very peaceful, casual, good time before I head back home. And we just crashed out, okay? We were very tired. But somewhere I woke up, and when I woke up, it was just before sunrise. So it was that darkness, yet there was a bit of light, like you could see what was happening, but it was still that very dull light. So when I woke up, I saw that Anaida was not next to me, right in front of me where my feet was, and I saw a girl sitting there. And this girl was petite, she was very dark, okay, and she had black hair, this much, I mean a short, this length hair. And she was very tiny, and I knew that she was around 10, 12, I would say max 13 years of age, and she was staring at me. The reason when I looked for Anaida and I looked over to where my foot was is because I felt someone was staring at me, and I thought it was Anaida, okay? But when I saw this girl, I cannot tell you that every cell and fiber of my body just shut down. I looked at that being and I knew there was something wrong. I remember the words not coming out, and I said, where are you from? Where did you come from? And she just started giggling. And that giggle was not like a mean laughter, you guys. It wasn't something that was like, you know, what you see, those dramatic laughter, evil laugh. No, it was a giggle filled with mischief. And it was like she was up to something. And she looked at me and she pointed at the terrace door, the door that opens towards the terrace. And she said, do you see that corner of the terrace? And she's pointing at the end of the terrace, where the terrace ends basically. And I remember looking at that because from where I am, I can see the corner, okay? And she's showing me this way. She's like, can you see that? And when I looked at the end of the terrace, she started giggling and she's like, when I got bad marks, I got very scared of mummy and daddy and I jumped from that terrace and I committed suicide. That was it. Because I remember it was like as if it was an outer body experience and I jammed back into my body and I woke up breathing really heavy with palpitations. And when I woke up, I just looked to my left and Anaida was not there. It was like as if a deja vu moment was happening for me, and I was so scared to even look at the area of my feet. Okay, I was not even ready to look straight ahead of me because I remember saying Anaida. I was like, calling out for her. I was like really, really sweating and I was petrified. Before I knew it, I heard Anaida scream. Okay, I heard an oh my god kind of a scream. And Anaida's house, such a spooky house. Okay, so this is the toilet, the bathroom area, this is the living area, this is the kitchen, then her bedroom, and after the bedroom there's a long corridor all the way to her storeroom. Okay, and the storeroom is the kind of thing that you open this way with the latch, those kind of typical old Indian doors. And in that storeroom, it was always very cold and dark, no matter the lighting. It was something so eerie. She had 2 of her fridge kept out there, and it was basically like a pantry, okay? That she was screaming, she ran out, and she was trying to catch her breath, just like how I was after I woke up, okay? And she was stammering. Now, it is very, very difficult to scare Anaida because, like I said, Anaida is very intuitive. She's seen it all, you guys. She's been there. She's seen it all. So I was like, what did you see? And I can't believe that those were the first words. I didn't ask her, like, are you okay? Or did you get hurt? Or what is it? Nothing. I said, what did you see? And which surprised Anaida also, when we were talking about it, she was also quite surprised. And she was like, oh, I was in the storeroom and the small girl, she ran from the corner of the storeroom into the wall. She just said that. She said she saw a girl come out from the corner of the room and went all the way into the wall. And when she said that, I asked her, I said, is this girl petite, really small girl with dark hair and this much, the hair length this much? And she was like, yes. She's like, how did you know? Did you see her? I was like, Anaida, I don't know whether I saw her or not, but you won't believe what I'm about to tell you. I just had a dream. I think it's not a dream. It must have really happened. And I saw this girl and she pointed at the terrace and she said she jumped from there committing suicide when she got bad marks. And for the first time in my life, I saw Anaida go pale because it was a realization like, oh my God, I'm living in this flat with an actual ghost who could, a proper entity that I've seen. So far, we all have felt it, but this is something that we have seen. We have seen an entity. All I remember is running down the stairs, 3 floors down. I didn't care about my handbag. I didn't care about what clothes I was wearing, nothing. Nor did she, because we just had to get out of the flat. Guys, we ran so fast. Trust me that if you put us in front of a lake, we would have ran on top of water also because we were that petrified. We ran down and I was shaking, so was she. She was a bit better than me because she was trying to catch up on reality, whereas I was ready to check into a convent and to get an exorcism done because I felt like the ghost has latched on. She'll be with me forever. Very dramatic I was. There was no much argument after that because we just knew that we saw a ghost. We just knew that we saw something really spooky, and there's nothing spookier than seeing children or seeing an old lady. There's nothing spookier than that. Okay, those are really spooky things to see. And we saw a child, okay, run into a wall, and I saw a child giggling in front of me and telling that she committed suicide. Unless and until you are in my shoes or in Anaida's shoe, you wouldn't understand the kind of fear that it sets into your heart. It is so amazing at the same time to understand what actually takes place beyond our beliefs and reasoning. That's my story, and let's move on to Chandni's.
My college days, my parents were out of town, and they didn't want to leave me alone. And so what they did was we used to have this help, and they asked my help, who was this 18-year-old girl that she should stay at our place with me till they are back. So she was staying over for about 2 days, and this on this particular day, it was a Saturday or a Sunday. It was a weekend. I was home, and I got up, and I was having my bed tea, and I was watching TV, and she was sitting next to me. And I had this habit of always watching this haunted hotels. There used to be this show called Haunted Hotels that used to come, and I used to really love it. I love everything horror, by the way. And so I was sitting and I was enjoying the entire program and whatever they were showing. This girl got really freaked out. She was like, Didi, I'm gonna go to the kitchen because I can't watch this. In fact, you know what? I'll go take a shower. You continue because this kind of stuff really scares me. So I started laughing. I was it's just chicken. So, anyways, I was sipping my tea, and I thought she's taking a shower. So I was done with my tea, and at some point I thought, let me just leave these cups in the kitchen. So I took the tray and I was walking towards the kitchen when I suddenly see somebody going out of the main door from my house, and it obviously looked like the girl, and her hair was all wet. And this particular girl, she had really long hair, used to go all the way below her knee, and she was this tiny little thing anyway. So I saw her going out of the house, like she opened the main door and she walked out, and I just saw her back while she was walking out. And I'm thinking in my head, like, what is wrong with her on a Sunday morning? Why is she going out? And I was like, whatever, it's her thing. And I go into the kitchen, I leave the tray, I turn around, and the minute I'm walking back to the bedroom, I see the bathroom door open, and this girl with her hair wet comes out of the bathroom. And I'm looking at her thinking in my head that who the fuck just walked out of the main door. And I realized that it was definitely not her. It was some person who walked out of my main door looking exactly like her with the wet hair and all that, and definitely not her. So she looks at me and she's like, what happened, why do you look so scared? In my head I'm thinking, now if I tell her, she's going to abandon me, she's going to run away, and I'm going to be all alone in the scary house. So I'm like, no, nothing, all cool, all's good. Until date, I have not told her this. And I'm never going to tell her this.
Hi, so I'm Pooja, and the story that I'm going to tell you is from February 2006, 24th February 2006, because I still remember the date. So just a couple of things for context. This happened when I was in my first year of graduation. I was in the hostel. My college is in Shimla. A lot of spooky things had anyway happened the rest of the year, but I never ever believed in ghosts. So I always told myself, and I always told my friends that, no, listen, what you've seen is all, you're away from home for the first time, it happens, it's just heightened stress and anxiety and loneliness. We used to get ragged the whole year, so there was this senior who'd asked me to complete her practical file, and I was working on that. So we also had this rule in our hostel which said that 10 o'clock in the night, all lights out. So the main switchboard was off. Don't ask why. Just to also give you an understanding of how the hostel was, if you imagine a cuboid, and there's like 3-4 floors, ours was the floor right above what we call the dungeons, which again isn't a great name. That's exactly what they were. They were dark. They didn't have windows. They were underground half at least. And we were on a hillside where from our room, our floor, the one side of the building was only jungle. So there's a staircase that ran through the middle, like bang in the middle of the building. So just to give you an idea, on every corridor, every floor, there would be about 17-18 rooms, and I was in room number G5, which meant that I was bang in the center of the ground floor. So if you were coming down to our floor from the middle floor, And you know, if this is the staircase and you're standing right here and those are the 8 steps that lead to our floor, you could see our door. That's how it was. This is important for later. This one night, there were about a couple of us, and we were working on our various assignments. I was working on the seniors file, and by 12:30 I was the only one working that night, which was unusual because we used to stay up till 1:32 every night. That one night, 12:30, I was the only fool working on a file. Basically, I was writing. At around 12:30, I look at my watch and I say, okay, maybe it's time for a pee break. And I looked at the end of the corridor and I was like, well, maybe later. So I get back to work. And that's when I realized that I could hear somebody sing. And it seemed to be from really far, like one of the top floors. So I said, okay, I mean, that's weird. I'm surprised that there's no warden that's rushed out as yet and scolded whoever's singing, but okay. So I go back to my work and I'm writing and working on the file again. And then as I'm writing, I couldn't really get the singing out of my head. And then I stop again just to pay attention to it, because it seemed very weird to me that someone was singing and no one was addressing it. And so very quickly, and this is I'm explaining my thought process in detail, but it was all very, very quick, like flashes of thought. So one of the things I think is, which senior could it be? And I was like, it's really high pitched, so maybe, like, I thought of 2-3 names. And I said, no, okay, fine, doesn't sound like her. And the other thing I thought was, wow, there is nobody who can hear this except me. And that's when I started to get scared, because I realized that I could only hear the singing. There was nothing else. I couldn't hear anybody else on any floor. And I was like, that's just weird. And then I paid attention to it, and that's when I died, because I realized that it wasn't singing. It was just a girl, or it sounded like a girl with a high-pitched voice, just making sounds. And that's when my blood ran cold, because it was just a high-pitched voice going over and over and over again. And I almost, like, there's a million things I could say that would just be foul language right now, but I remember almost dying. Once I was done rationalizing in whichever way possible, I just went like, okay, that's it, I am out of here. And so I started to pick up pieces of everything that was lying about, and I didn't even gather everything like this, because there was something in my heart that told me that, listen, whatever this is, if it hears you and it's coming towards you, it is going to kill you. Like, I for some reason I was so sure of that. So I picked up everything little by little, quietly but as quickly as possible, put it together, picked up my rubber chappals and got up to walk towards my room. Now remember, walking up towards my room also meant that I was going to walk towards the staircase. And I realized at that point that the voice was coming from the floor above ours, which means that it had definitely traveled. And once, like, it was realization after realization just hitting me, and I wanted to die. Like, I was like, why am I not dead already? That's how scared I was. And I started to walk towards my room, and it was crazy. Like, all this while the singing is going on, and it's like the singing and me just coming closer. By the time I reached my door, I wasn't even walking like this, like in the corridor. This is the wall that my door was on, so I started walking like this, because I was so scared of what I might see, or what might happen by the time I actually reached my door, because I knew that my door could see the staircase. By the time I reached my door, I was facing my door, and I could hear whatever it was right there. Like right there on the staircase. I could feel it, and like my hair, everything back of my neck gone, like standing on end, goosebumps galore, and I just like waited there for like a split second, and I was like, this is terrible. So I just opened my door. I didn't have the guts to turn around and shut my door, so I opened my door, squeezed myself in as quickly as possible, and just shut it. The moment I shut my door, I couldn't hear a thing, and that freaked me out more than anything. So I latched the door, and by this point I'm close to tears, so I'm almost like so I latched my door, shoved my stuff in my bed, and just went to my roommate's bed where she was sleeping, got into bed with her, just grabbed her, and I was like, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep. I was trying to tell myself in Nepali, like, sleep, 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 sleep. And my friend got up, and my friend got up because I was shaking. So she's like, why are you shaking? And I was like, no, it's okay, just go to sleep. I'm not shaking. I've never been that scared in my entire life. Like till date now, after that night, because of that night, I'm a proud wuss. Like, I don't claim to walk in the dark and take anyone, anywhere, anything anymore. I have no idea what that was. I don't ever want to know. I hope no one ever hears something like that. It was creepy as hell and just inexplicable. It was also the first time in my life that I've called up my mom the next day and said, Ma, can I come home because things are not too good? And then gone home. So yeah, that was my story.
Man, oh man, that is some story, all right? And I've heard that before, but hearing it all over again is just making me fear a bit of staying alone all over again. In reality, I would sleep with my light on, and I think today is one of those nights when I'll be doing that, okay? I'll be sleeping with the light on, and I deserve it because I did this to myself. This ends this Halloween video. Do let me know if you had any of such experience. I would love to hear from you. Leave it in the comment section, just like you did in the last video. All right, until later, bye for now.